ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not.
Hey pal, so I'm currently in the process of working on a couple bigger videos, or at least videos that I want to put some more care into. But I'm currently not right now at this exact moment, but when you're watching this video, either already at a film festival or traveling to a film festival for an entire week. So the time I have for videos right now is very limited. I know people are waiting for the Shadowhunters video, but shockingly, it does take a little bit of time to make it through a show that covers 44 episodes and at least 3 books. So I thank you for your patience there. I am going as fast as I can. So to make sure I don't rush those, I just wanted to bang out something fun and fast. I am gonna try to get a spoiler-free review of Dune out next week after I see it, just because if it ends up being good, I wanna encourage people to go watch it. I really love Denis Villeneuve. But until then, I thought I'd drop some thoughts on the new Cinderella, which Amazon has been flooding the marketing on. I literally got an Amazon delivery yesterday in a Cinderella box, or Cendrillon, because I'm in Canada. Yay! But what had to be the most notorious form of marketing was the cast running into the street during a red light to sing or scream at drivers, and it was terrible.
Let's get loud.
Oh, wow.
Ain't nobody gonna tell you what you gotta do.
Okay, I know that Camilla can sing, but that was rough. Also, if James Corden ever thrusts at me, I will sue or be in jail because I ran him over. You'd think being in Cats would blacklist you from musicals or just acting in general. But if He's All That felt like a Netflix take on a Disney original, Cinderella felt like Amazon's take on a Disney original musical. Right down to Cabello's singing style.
I'm gonna be the sun.
But if you don't want to find yourself eating like one of the common townspeople of the kingdom here in Cinderella, bear with me with that transition, you should check out today's sponsor, HelloFresh. So I'm a disorganized mess and I suck at cooking, but I always want to try new things because I love food, but I hate taking the time to do things properly. It's quite the quandary I've put myself in, but with HelloFresh, that's a problem no more. HelloFresh offers a wide variety of delicious food options that are fast and easy to make with their step-by-step instructions. Instead of heading out and buying a ton of ingredients just to try one recipe, HelloFresh sends you exactly what you need to help avoid waste and save time. For me, knowing exactly what order I should be prepping food in to maximize efficiency is a huge deal. I'm almost always working on something and I get really stressed when I feel like I'm wasting time, so it's so easy just to eat terribly, but HelloFresh has a ton of quick and easy 20-minute options, with most meals being ready in 30 minutes. Every week you get a bunch of new and exciting options to choose from, and if you know you're gonna be away, you can just skip that week no problem. So head on over to HelloFresh.com and use code JEDI14 to get 14 free meals plus free shipping. That's code JEDI14 at HelloFresh.com to get 14 free meals and free shipping. So I don't hate musicals, I just really hate some musicals, like Cats. But whomst amongst us doesn't? I also hate Greatest Showman. Yeah. Hate. I think my review of that was something like their attempts to cover up the bad story with musical numbers would have done better if the music didn't suck. This movie is very weird in terms of a musical. It kind of feels like musical fusion. It's like 1800s Glee. I tragically have a soft spot for the first 3 seasons of Glee and then some aspects of later seasons.
So what happens next? Well, you could walk out first, or we could make it a 2-time thing.
And that's what you missed on Glee.
So clearly my standards aren't that high, even if they may seem that way. I'm also not opposed to girl bossing classic princesses, either by Disney themselves or any other studios that want to try their hand with open source material. It's just that they usually do a really bad job with it. Good for you, Jasmine. Sing about your independence as you're locked behind bars. Princess Jasmine, who is always so meek.
Then maybe I don't want to be a princess anymore.
How dare you?
I am not a prize to be won.
But one thing that you'll notice with these remakes and retellings is they try to add more agency and value to our leading ladies. Which is fine, I never went full Disney is just teaching our young girls to marry rich and value romance over having an interest in independence. Because clearly it didn't have that effect on me. But there's nothing wrong with a story focusing on love and romance. It's fine. Also with Cinderella, there is at least a little bit more going on than just waiting for the prince. She's kind to all despite the tragedies she's faced. She sees value in all beings. She expresses compassion. Yes, she's essentially waiting to be found to become a baby maker, but it's fine. But I also don't see any issues with adding more. Giving these classic characters and stories just a few more features. Like giving Cinderella some goals and not needing to be saved like so many of these ladies often do. Lately, it's been Disney themselves pulling these retcon missions in a variety of ways. ways. I recommend checking out Lindsay Ellis's video on Woke Disney for more info on how a lot of what Disney addresses isn't anything anyone's complained about, and completely ignoring the things they should be addressing. But for stories that live in the public domain, a lot of studios have tossed their hats in the ring. And Cinderella has no shortage of adaptations even before the 1950s Disney classic. Some follow the story pretty straight up, while others add in more layers, like a Cinderella story, which both modernizes the classic tale and adds an extra layer of Sam wanting to go to Princeton to pursue her dreams. The 2015 Disney live-action remake actively has Ella's mother's dying wish to always be kind and courageous. Because I guess we didn't infer that from Cinderella just always being kind and courageous, but it's not bad. But it's also very easy to start adding more layers to these stories in a way that feels very heavy-handed, which is how this 2021 remake often ends up feeling. It's sometimes too much and too little. It's almost like writer and director Kay Cannon was trying to make up for the fact that Becca didn't pursue her dreams by the end of Pitch Perfect. Like, I know in later installments they kind of had her dabbling more in that, but like if we're just talking about the first Pitch Perfect, even Anna Kendrick had to be the one to say that her hooking up with the music producer boss would have been a huge issue and refused to shoot the scene. But yeah, same person made both of those movies, which explains a lot of the decisions. Because I know I said this felt like 1800s Glee, but it also feels like 1800s Pitch Perfect, just nowhere near as charming. For one, it's very tonally inconsistent. Like if somebody told me that this was intended for 6-year-olds, I'd be like, cool, yeah, they'll enjoy it. It's like High School Musical meets The Descendants, but then there's like this creep.
I just wanted to check in on you and make sure that your blossoming daughters are managing. All right then, now I've got this mental image to nourish me through the day.
And this entire scene where James Corden is going on about how the tail between his leg is how he pees.
I just relieved myself, and you are not going to believe how it happens.
Through the front tail, we know.
Yes!
Why would they collectively do that to us? Overall, it has some cute bits. I like Billy Portner as the fabulous godmother, but when you really break down the individual elements and like the way the story progresses, it's just not good. But before getting into what the story is trying to do, let's hit the music. And I will say it was nowhere near as bad as I was expecting past the opening number. I really hated that. Even the choreography, while flashy, seems stupid and like it was designed for a stage show, not a movie. But what ends up saving it for me is probably what other people find is very lazy about the movie. It's almost entirely comprised of song covers. That's what I mean when I say it's just like Glee and Pitch Perfect. There's even a mashup of What a Man and Seven Nation Army, and I really like the Seven Nation Army bit. The ball starts and all the eligible ladies start singing What a Man for his attention, and then he pops in with the I'm gonna fight him off.
But that's what I'll do.
It worked. Poor man is traumatized by all these eligible bachelorettes. But I was strapping in for some very bad songs, which we occasionally got. Like there's some covers I really didn't vibe with. Again, that opening mashup of Rhythm Nation and You Gotta Be really just set me on edge. It struck me in such a way that I thought, wow, I need to watch La La Land after this because I deserve to be depressed. But overall, not total trash in this department. I actually really liked the original song, Million to One. The musical choreography for that number was not great and quite weird. Like at one point she starts singing to like the version of herself she wishes she could be. But the worst part about that moment was actually just the singing.
I'm gonna be the sun. You're gonna know my name.
No one thought to do another take on that? Like, I know she can sing, so what the fuck? There's another song about dreams by Idina Menzel, which we'll get to a little bit more later. Also not terrible. Pretty catchy, solid tune. So like based on how competent the two originals were, I'm surprised they didn't do a bit more of that. Although there were a series of original Town Crier raps by Doc Brown, and I really liked those. They were fun. But I do feel like the fact that this was almost entirely comprised of covers was to its benefit. Like it tricked my karaoke-loving brain into thinking that I could be a part of one of these big musical numbers. Like I was bamboozled by my own desires to sing and badly dance. Like I could pretend to be mad that they got Queen licensing for this, but honestly I was just happy to have a song that I genuinely wanted to sing along with.
Can anybody find me?
Somebody love. And other than feeling like Glee and Pitch Perfect, the whole thing kind of made me imagine that this would be the result of a particularly ambitious high school deciding that they wanted to do Cinderella as their school musical. The songs all match up with what's going on pretty well, so it doesn't feel like it's like, well, we wanted the song, so we're gonna work around it. In terms of other aspects, like the humor was pretty hit or miss in this, and like sadly you could tell they were trying to rely on that.
Do you want to go to that ball?
Yes, I was just crying and singing about it like 2 minutes ago.
Like that was one I particularly enjoyed, but I know a lot of other people were like, oh my god, it's too on the nose. The three mice were like very inconsequential to the story before they became flat out horrible. Again, I address your attention to the penis tail bit.
You are not gonna believe how it happens.
Through the front tail, we know.
Yes!
A menace, truly. Then there's this nightmare that was making the rounds on Twitter because it literally looks like they turned James Corden into an oversized sperm head. Why is he in this? Why did they do this? Who thought, well, first he was a failed cat, so let's make him a failed rat. He's a mouse, but I wanted to finish the rhyme. Let's head into the movie's themes and the story. Big ol' spoilers abound, so if for some reason you think this is the type of movie that can be ruined if you know what happens, I guess like go watch it first. So the big one for this movie is kind of girl power. Again, no issues, but I feel like there was a way to modernize this message beyond like girls can have careers too. Because that's a pretty standard aspect of reality right now, at least where this movie is based for the audience. So the change seems to exist purely to solve a problem that the filmmakers feel the original Cinderella had, and not because they're actually trying to put like a message out there. Which is fine, I guess. Like the reality of the time period that's established in the movie is one where women don't have much agency. They're living under a monarchy that sets up sons as future kings and states that women can't lead or own or have careers. And I'm not saying that's not an issue that women around the world aren't still dealing with, just that the target demographic for this movie likely isn't facing those issues to this degree. Okay, future Amanda here. I went to see Shang-Chi right after I finished recording this video. And oh my god, for a movie that was about reconciling two aspects of where and who you come from and how that plays into who you feel you're supposed to be versus who you actually are, it's a better girl boss movie. Like there's just all this great dynamic with all the female characters, and his sister is just like such an absolute badass. She built up this like entire empire at the age of 16 because she knew her dad was never gonna give her a chance. This movie pulled off the entire purpose of Cinderella better as a secondary theme. I really wanted to make a video for this movie, but I just don't have time before I leave town, so consider this my endorsement to go see Shang-Chi. Loses a bit of momentum in the final battle, but I find that with like a lot of like the Marvel movies, but otherwise super refreshing. I had a lot of fun. But inside that, there's the better message about following your dreams and being true to yourself, and it really drives home not giving up on your goals and who you are for other people or for relationships that don't want you to flourish. Don't give up on the important aspects of yourself just to fit a mold, because the right person is gonna want you with all those passions and traits. And that applies to everyone, which brings us back to this movie. Our leading lady Cinderella has dreams of having her own dress shop, which is cool and builds off something in the original, and gives her a dream to pursue outside of holy shit, let me find a man lest I waste away in this basement. But as always, she is stuck playing servant to her stepmother and stepsisters after the death of her father. I would love to see a prequel story for Cinderella where she rebels against her asshole father for marrying this wretched woman, but it's fine. But as she tries to pursue this goal, she's thwarted at every step. Her stepmother won't let her bring one of her dresses to try to sell at the changing of the guard because it would embarrass her.
I will not have you embarrassing this household with your blasphemy.
Man, it's like Cinderella just said she was gonna make a pass at the queen. And when she does try to sell it, she gets accused of stealing or being unwomanly. And it's all the usual from here, except she makes a bit of a display at the town square and catches the attention of the prince, who then says he'll agree to the bachelor ball as long as it's open to all women of the kingdom, regardless of social status. But instead of going to the ball because she's trying to get the prince, it's because while the prince is pretending to be a commoner, he tells her that if she attends, he can introduce her to people who may buy her dresses. So it's an entrepreneurial venture rather than a matter of love. So good that she no longer has to seek out the affection of a man, so she can just get caught up seeking the approval of people with money. Cruella would eat you alive. And she actually gets the chance at her big break. She runs into Queen Tatiana here, who apparently killed the king to take the throne. A girl boss, if there ever was one. But she wants to see more of Ella's design so she can take her traveling around the world as her personal dressmaker. Also, why is it so weird for Ella to want her own shop when this queen literally travels the world independently after like a violent coup of killing another person to take the crown? And then the prince reveals himself, and shows her that he got his little sister, the princess, to wear one of her pieces, and chooses her to be his princess and future queen. More than she could have ever imagined taking place in under an hour. Issue being, she'd have to give up her dream of selling dresses and even making dresses for herself for some reason.
If it's a choice, I choose me.
See, that's a nice message for everyone, like not just be completely selfish and horrible, but you know, don't sacrifice who you are as a person just to be with someone. So she turns down the offer from Prince Robert and gets to designing for Tatiana, which is when the stepmother pops in to crush those dreams. But in a very interesting way, it seems like they were like trying to retcon her a little bit. Like they give her a failed dream storyline where she was given the opportunity to study piano for 1 month at a prestigious school, but her husband left her because she took it.
I know I've been hard on you. It's not fueled by spite. The real cruelty would be for me to allow you to think that you can be something you can't.
Like, no, sorry, you're still terrible? I don't know if it was supposed to be like full sympathy retcon, because it felt more of like a narcissistic, like, I was once like you with dreams, but then reality hit me, so I'll make sure reality hits you before you can even try. And just to really drive home how much I care, I'm gonna force you to marry this creep.
Blossoming daughters are...
Guys, just let her be an evil bitch, damn. You could have gone for the same vibe and just been like, you think I didn't have dreams? Of course I did, but it'd be foolish to waste my time on something that's never gonna happen, so I'll be damned if I let you try. She was already entrepreneurial enough, like marry for cash and cut off the primary heir. Girl boss. Though in this, instead of trying to keep her away from the prince, once she realizes Ella was the mystery girl at the ball, she's like, dummy, go back for the money. We'll be set for life. Smarter than the OG stepmother, that's for sure. Like, no one wanted Drizella or Anastasia, but I get it, she saw her children as an extension of herself, so if they marry the prince, it would be like she's marrying the prince. But honestly, should have started sucking up to Cindy here and played out loving mother the second that slipper fit. All this stuff works for the story they're trying to tell, though. It all crescendos with the Dream Girls song by Idina Menzel, where all the women in the kingdom have given up their dreams and instruct all the other girls to bury their dreams too. Even the queen feels the effects of having to suppress who she is.
I shall be in my chambers, brushing my hair, till it all falls out.
The area where it gets a little annoying is that the king is always threatening to make the younger sister queen instead of making Robert king, except she'd actually make a great ruler. So it really comes across as like, you better watch out, Sonny, and pick a bride, otherwise I'll make your younger sister with the comprehensive recycling, health, and food plans the ruler of this kingdom. Imagine the embarrassment. But she just keeps popping up and spilling out these plans at the worst possible time, so like even though she's right, you understand why everyone is so exasperated with her.
Is this a good time to ask why we are spending money on catapults?
Quiet, Gwen!
But I guess that brings us to the prince, who I just realized has a single earring. Fascinating. Who's being pressured to marry, get this world-dominating boss babe proposing marriage so they can unify the two kingdoms and get a sea monster and everything. But he wants love, which he feels like he found when Cinderella makes a really shitty joke in the court.
I hereby decree all short peasants shall be pardoned by the king.
With the prince, it really just kind of comes down to he felt like he wanted to be king his entire life, but now he's realizing that maybe that's not what he wants. Then the king gets in shit when he's like, your pick ran out on you, so you're marrying the chick with the sea monster. Love be damned. Which causes the queen to snap, who's been feeling quite overshadowed in this royal arrangement. I actually really like Minnie Driver in this, but all it took was like a 2-minute conversation about love and how he changed when he became king for him just to completely shift his opinion. Not only is he like, you don't have to marry Laura so I can have a sea monster. He's like, go find the girl and do what you will. I'm making your sister next in line for the throne anyways. So it ends with Ella getting the job with Tatiana to travel and make dresses, and Robert here is just gonna tag along for the trip as the groupie boyfriend. You may say he's giving up his dreams for hers, but all he seemed to really like doing was drinking and fox hunting, so might as well drink and sea travel. A fantastical girl boss ending to Let's Get Loud by Jennifer Lopez. With a final message to the stepmother, the forgiveness aspect that we needed checked off the list to hit the original beats. So this was probably pretty cute for the target demographic outside of a couple moments. No one needed James Corden talking about his penis. We don't even need that in an R-rated movie, which Cats should have been. That on top of the hip thrusting, and I feel like I'm owed damages. Again, it just feels like something that would have been right at home at that 1 p.m. Saturday slot on the Disney Channel. Not something that Amazon is printing on their delivery boxes. They got Pierce Brosnan, for God's sake.
We made babies together.
But let me know what you guys are thinking down below. I, for one, am very excited to be heading to a film festival where I can watch a bunch of like indie and artsy and then like really big director-run movies to kind of like palette cleanse and offset the past month of my life content-wise. I'm gonna wear my Bella Swan shirt to the premiere of Spencer and everything. It's gonna be great. Anyways, thank you all so much for watching. Thanks as always to my Patreon supporters. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. Leave a like on the video if you're into that kind of thing. Feel free to follow my other social medias that I'll have linked down below. I hope you're all having a fantastic day. I'm mostly okay, and we'll catch you all later.